Oh, one more. Okay, cool.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm so excited to have you guys here and be interested in the Morningside Summer Institute, which is single-handedly the best experience of my professional career. So I think you guys are in for a treat. Um, we have Andrew Kieta, who's the executive director of Morningside, and Andrew Bulla, who is our MSI instructor every summer, here to talk to you guys about all the cool stuff that goes on here in the summer. I wish I could stay. Unfortunately, I have some classroom commitments, so I'm gonna hop off here, but I hope you guys have a great time. And if you need anything, feel free to send me an email.
Wonderful. Thanks,
Cool.
Kathy.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Well, Drew and I'll tell you who we are. I'll tell you a little bit about Morningside, and then just about what the Summer Institute kind of generally looks like, kind of what to expect. Drew can take you more and more through like the day-to-day experience because when we're here in the summer, like, it's wild. It's a blast. Like Kathy said, it's an amazing experience, but there's a lot going on. Um, an amazing time. It is high energy. And Drew is kind of the go-to person who makes sure that day to day you all are taken care of and you all are doing all the things that you're doing. So um, Morningside in general, if you don't know, I don't know how much you all know about Morningside. Morningside's a lab school. We have about 80, I don't know, I think we have 81 kids right now, roughly grades 3 through 9. These are kids who are average to above average IQ. They are struggling in school, a lot of ADHD diagnoses, fair amount of mild learning disability diagnoses, mostly kids without any diagnosis. They're just kids who are getting C's and D's in school. They're kind of the struggling learners of America. They should be doing well, but they are not. But there's no like clear reason why that's the case. Usually they've just kind of fallen through the cracks. Yeah, for a multitude of reasons. And so in the summer, what's going on here is we expand the enrollment pretty significantly. So we usually have 120, 130 kids who are here throughout the summer. And kids come for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. So the summer school lasts for 4 weeks. Kids can come for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks of that. And it runs morning and afternoon. And so they have a 2 hour and 45 minute morning block, a 2 hour and 45 minute afternoon block, and they take one subject matter in one of those half day blocks. So like a kid may come 4 weeks for the morning just to work on their reading skills, or they may come 2 weeks doing reading in the morning and math in the afternoon. So it's kind of like the amount of kids kind of ebbs and flows pretty significantly. And so um, that whole thing's happening up here at the lab school. Meanwhile, you all are doing the Summer Institute, which is located. We have a secondary office space about 3 blocks away. It is up or down a very steep hill, depending where you're from. I'm used to it, but a lot of people, I always get reminded like you can't tell everybody it's 4 minutes because if you don't live in Seattle where everything's hilly, it's a lot longer than that.
I think take me 2 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
You
It does
think
not.
you're
No,
two?
it does not take me
I
two.
got it down. I
It's
got it
about
down to
four.
four, but.
About 4 or 5.
Um, But anyway, so you spend the mornings here at the lab school, and you will be placed into one of our morning classrooms for practicum. In the morning, there are usually 2 or 3 different reading classes. There's usually 2 or 3 writing classes, 2 or 3 math classes, and then we have a special class that is high school study skills prep. So kids learn all kinds of different strategies for being effective in a middle school classroom, but mostly for kids moving on to high school. So that's kind of the lay of the land. You come up here, you spend half your morning here in the classroom as you're learning things at the Summer Institute from Drew and from the other Morningside coaches. You then put them into place in your practicum setting, and you get coached on how to do that from the classroom teacher, from Drew, from myself. So it's kind of like every day you're at Morningside, you're learning something new in the Summer Institute, and then getting a chance to apply that and practice it in the classroom setting. The other half of the morning, you are with down at the other building, practicing some of the different teaching procedures and techniques with Morningside coaches. So you get like lots and lots of repetitions of practicing these different instructional technologies. And then the afternoons, you're all together down at the other building, and that is when you're doing all kinds of stuff. So you'll do some lectures on like the conceptual underpinnings of this model. You will do trainings, like hands-on trainings on things like direct instruction, precision teaching. You will do different activities and design opportunities depending how long you're coming for. If you're coming for the first 2 weeks, That focuses generally on best practices on instruction and on fluency building through precision teaching. Um, Folks who stick around the third week, that's when we kind of get into generative responding, some more advanced topics. And most people, I think probably 70% of people probably do all 3 weeks. But really, the first 2 weeks are kind of critical. And then if you're interested in adding a third week, you can. So that's kind of the general overview. It's they're long days, they're intense days. There's a ton going on, but it's a lot of fun because you're doing it with a lot of other people who are super interested in learning this stuff. Everybody who's here at Morningside loves the summer because we like sharing this kind of stuff with people like you all. So we want people to come. Teachers love it. They love having other people to coach and to share this with. So it's a high energy but pretty fun time. I'll pass it over to you, Drew. You can say anything else you want to add.
Yeah. So as Andrew's at Morningside all year round as the executive director, my full-time job is actually a faculty member at Georgia Southern University, where I'm the chair of behavior analysis programs and an associate professor. Jessica's actually one of my students who's on here. So, hey, Jess, saw you. Fun facts. Yesterday, we tied for first place at trivia and we lost.
Oh
I had to
no.
guess the square footage of Belgium, and we didn't get it right.
It's been around the rest of my life, actually. So thank you for re-traumatizing me.
We put Jess up there to go. We're like, we trust you, and we did not win. So, but it's okay. But it's okay because it was the closest to winning we've ever come as a group. So we were happy with that. Um, but I come out and I do consulting with Morningside. So you may have all know Morningside Academy as the laboratory school where individuals go that are behind, and then they get caught up through Morningside Model Generative Instruction. And while I'm a part of the Morningside family, I work for what's called Morningside Teachers Academy, which is focused on the dissemination of what happens in the laboratory school to other settings. So Morningside evaluates the most cutting edge curricula, instructional strategies to look at what produces the most gains in their learners. And then we take that and we implement those ingredients within a variety of different settings, whether it be public schools, charter schools, whole district, tier 3 classrooms to tier 2 classrooms, etc. But we disseminate what we're finding works at Morningside. So part of what happens at the Morningside Summer Institute, which is the summer program that you're learning about here, is part of that dissemination effort in
Mhm.
that we're trying to recruit professionals, recruit students who are interested in behavioral education. And we do a 3 week, basically intensive boot camp on the Morningside model of generative instruction. So I've been working with the Morningside family since 2020, no, 2017.
2016.
2016. And it's just been growing and evolving. And being a part of this is just such a joy because, as I was talking about, that we're implementing the most cutting edge educational technologies. What we were doing in 2020 or 2016 is different than what we're doing now.
Right.
And it's really nice to see the evolution of kind of these methods across time, but it also shows that science isn't static, that it's dynamic, and that we're always looking to do better. So you may have heard or know people who came 10 years ago. What they got exposed to is going to be different than what you will get exposed to coming in 2026. And then it's just going to continue to grow. So that's the really exciting part about this process, is that you're coming through the dissemination side of it, where we're trying to get you to do what we do at Morningside, to go back to your settings and implement this model with the learners that you serve, whether that be preschool, elementary, middle, high schools, providing special education services, working in residential or clinical programs. I've applied this working with animals and college students, right? This model is an effective way to program for learning outcomes. So when you come to the Summer Institute, it is a 2 or 3 week program. So students who apply, there are two main individuals who apply. Individuals who we call are the individuals that are working professionally. So they may be a teacher, an administrator, they may be a clinic owner, they may be a practicing BCBA, or they may be a special ed teacher, a reading specialist. Those are the individuals who are coming most often to learn and bring this back to their professional setting. And that comprises roughly about half, sometimes 2/3, sometimes a little less.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that are coming to learn to bring this back to their home settings. And then we also have graduate students, and this is something that Dr. Ken Johnson really loves because he was never a professor, but this is his like professorial mode. So he pretends to be a professor. Oh, no, he professes every Wednesday at seminar at Morningside because he wants to keep that alive. But this is really his way of teaching students in behavior analysis things that aren't in the task list or the task or the BACB may not find important and things like that. So you'll see that this is a really special program for him, and he's very involved in the day-to-day of rolling this out. So we set aside money for scholarships for students, which we'll have some questions and Andrew will go over some of the logistics about that. But we have scholarships for students that you can apply to. It provides pretty good financial support to students. Sinead, I believe, are you in the United States or are you in Ireland?
Hi, I am in Ireland.
Ah, so good.
Yes,
So good.
yes.
I have family in County Clare.
Oh, that's where I am.
No way.
Yeah,
Let's say,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
do
yeah.
you know the
Where in Clare?
Clarences? I don't know. Just
Okay,
here.
find out.
And we'll
Let me
find
know.
out. And our,
I might know them.
my God. Do you know any Clancy's? Because that's who they are.
There's a lot of Clancy's around for sure. Yeah, maybe too many to narrow it down, I would say.
Okay, well, we're the best ones. So
Yes, of course, of course, of course. I can
but
already tell.
yeah, thank you. But so like coming internationally, there is
Mhm.
also some price adjustments that Andrew will cover where,
Yeah.
Thank
we
you.
tailor it based on well, what's the cost of living in that country comparative to the
Hmm.
United States and Seattle in particular. But there is student scholarships that you can apply for. I wish we introduced those or made the announcements earlier. Typically, they occur after Memorial Day weekend. And then the Summer Institute starts in July. So it doesn't give you a whole lot of time in terms of your flights, but it does cover the tuition and the housing, which again, I'm going to let Andrew cover that in a little bit. So we have those two pockets, professionals and students, and they all come together. Typically, professionals will do 2 weeks with about half of those professionals staying for weeks 3, and then students are here all 3 weeks, which allows for some really good intimate feedback as we kind of get to more
Yeah.
complex concepts and principles that we'll be covering. So that's kind of the gist of it. Your day to day, as Andrew talked about, is split up into two parts. You have your practicum, which is in the morning where you're in the classrooms. Um, you're in a particular classroom the first day as we're learning about you and after we read your materials, Andrew and I will place you within your classrooms based on academic content, grade level, subject matter, etc., to give you the best fit to go back to your settings to be able to implement this. And then you'll be in the same classroom across the full 3 weeks. Now, we like to make this really clear because a lot of the times individuals don't know the curricula that they're teaching. So to be able to practice the methods that we're going to be teaching, you have to gain familiarity with the subject matter.
Right.
So to put you in a classroom for 1 week and then put you in another subject would be very difficult for you to focus on just the instructional strategies, more so trying to learn how to do things in math that we haven't done y'all in quite some time, I'll tell you that. Or even like teaching reading, all of us are at the point where we're such fluent readers that we may not know the rules of reading, right? We may not know why we say E when the letters EA are together in a word, right? But we have to get comfortable enough to explain to students why those rules apply to reading. So you're in the same classroom all 3 weeks where you'll be able to get explicit coaching and feedback on things like direct instruction, delivering lessons using a methodics model, which we'll cover, and then building skills to fluency with precision teaching. So you'll get some experience with those things in the classroom practicum with actual students. And as Andrew said, the morning practicum is split up with you being in the classroom and then doing intensive boot camp with Morningside staff, where you're doing basically it's like BST, behavioral skills training, where you're watching, then you're getting instruction, then you're doing, and then you're getting feedback, so that before you teach a classroom of 15 kids, you get some practice and feedback on your instruction before being in that place. Then in the afternoon, that is our lecture slash workshop. So it'll be a split between some conceptual underpinnings of Morningside, some focused workshops on things like direct instruction, methodics, board work, precision teaching, and charting. And then in that week 3, that's where we get into some instructional design components. The afternoons are primarily delivered. You'll see me, Kent Johnson, and Andrew Kieta being the primary members that will be teaching and instructing in that second half. Although we often will have some celebrity guest presenters that come about and add in some of their special flair with that. But it's a nice balance of doing and as well as learning
Right.
conceptually. So they kind of go hand in hand with one another. So it's been a great program. I've had the pleasure of running this with the gang for a little bit, and we've gotten a really good system down. And yeah, so that's kind of the overview. We do offer BCBA CEUs in case any
Oh,
of you
right.
are BCBAs. And this last time, I think we gave 75 CEs for three
That
weeks,
sounds right.
which is a lot. I know. So I think it's not a unreasonable price. Like, and then Dr. Carl Binder typically comes the last week to give a little overview. I know, Sean. I know. So Dr. Carl Binder comes, and oftentimes his presentation counts as supervisory CEUs as well. So the only thing you would need left is ethics CEs, which is quite nice in terms of like getting the biggest bang for your buck. If you are a student that is accruing hours for the BCBA, right now we do not offer BCBA supervision in the during the classroom practicum. So if you are getting BCBA supervision right now, that's not something that Morningside will provide to continue. And I think that's kind of it for what the day to day looks like
Mhm.
in terms of what happens in the actual institute. I will say before I pitch it to Andrew to go over logistics of where people house, like where we house individuals, where you'll stay, the dining package, as well as the scholarships. Is that what's special about MSI is that there's usually a group of between 25 and 40, give or take, that come out each year. And we stay in touch with those groups,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the individuals within the group stay in touch with each other. So going to conferences and being able to see individuals that you've now have been working with, or to see the little group and collective, is really remarkable and special. We've had individuals write manuscripts and publish together, go into business together, bring this back into their school. They consistently ask for feedback and advice as they begin to implement components of this model within their own settings. So it's nice having a WhatsApp and GroupMe where I get to see all my little MSIers now be full grown ups and doing great and amazing things. But I think the most special part, yes, you're learning about the Morningside model of generative instruction, but the special part is the community that you foster with your
Yeah,
cohort going through MSI. I mean, two of the people that went to MSI together are now running Morningside. So like, what does that
it's
tell you?
true.
So just wanted to give you all some context about kind of the social aspect of it all. That it's as important as getting in there and learning this model too.
Yeah, I'll just no, I'll add on to that point. I first contacted Morningside the Summer Institute. So I was teaching at a school in Columbus, Ohio that was serving children with autism and got sent out here for the summer and I mean functionally never left.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got really close friends who I went to Summer Institute with first time 15 years ago. To Drew's point though, like this isn't like a train and like spray and pray kind of approach where we're gonna like talk at you for 2 weeks and then good luck. Everybody who comes to Summer Institute, we expect and anticipate there will be ongoing conversations about how we can help you support you. If you're a student, often that's like we're helping support you in formulating maybe a research project or formulating like a career path you're interested in going down. For working professionals, it's often like ongoing follow-up, additional trainings, having us come visit you in person. So that's really the goal of this is not just for us to train for 2 weeks and then forget who you are. Like people kind of get stuck in the, like it or not, you kind of get stuck in the Morningside family forever, which I think is really cool. I think that's one of the what makes this so much more unique than other kind of professional development opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay, on that point, so I'll go through some of the basic logistics stuff, and all of this is available on the website. I'll just mention some points that I think are worth bringing up because these are things that usually people kind of ask about. We already talked about there's a 2 week option or a 3 week option. The 2 week option if you're paying tuition. So if you're not a graduate student, you're not applying for a scholarship. 2 weeks is a $2,800 tuition. 3 weeks is a $3,800 tuition. There is a table available online that will tell you what the international rates are. So wherever you are, you can look that up and figure out how much it would cost you, depending on where you're coming from. And then we do give out a handful of scholarships every year. Those vary. Sometimes they're full scholar. Most of them are full scholarships. Sometimes you may be offered a partial scholarship, but that full scholarship means we pay for your tuition at this summer institute, pay your lodging, pay your food, everything. The only thing you're paying is usually like a couple $100 materials fee for some of the books that you need. Um, if you are paying for your full tuition, there is no materials fee. Just like what you pay covers everything. Um, Sometimes people will like I know often there's graduate students who are working part-time or maybe they're working full-time and going to school. If you're in one of those situations, you may qualify for a partial scholarship where we may pay your tuition, but you may have to pay your lodging. So that really depends on how many scholarships we have, how many applicants we have. Um, in terms of timeline, like Drew said, it's often right after Memorial Day when we make final announcements. We're trying to move that up earlier because I certainly understand the difficulty in waiting till like early June to confirm a 3 week experience where you're going to be traveling. So we're trying to push that up into early May. So stay tuned on that. But there is no hard deadline on applications, but I highly recommend getting it in by April. The earlier the better, so we can start reviewing them. But definitely by end of April have your application in. If you are applying for a scholarship, you're going to submit a an application online. All this is on the website. You'll go to morningsideacademy.org. There's a tab on the top for Summer Institute, and you'll see the application kind of right away. You fill out the application, you attach a CV, attach a couple of letters of recommendation from professors, at least one, but the more the better. Sometimes professors will often they will want to send a letter directly to Morningside. They don't rather than give it to you to upload. If that's the case, that's totally fine. When you go to it's just a Google form, the application. So people will just upload a piece of paper, like a document saying, letter of recommendation will be sent by so and so. And then those professors can send the letter of recommendation directly to myself. And then you also need to include an essay on like why do you want to do this? What is the value for you of coming to Morningside? How do you anticipate using what you will learn here in your research agenda and your professional practice, etc. If you are not applying for a scholarship, the process is a little bit simpler. You'll just go online, you'll register, you will submit a CV so we kind of know who you are, where you come from, and help get an idea of where you might fit into a classroom practicum. You'll be sent an invoice for a deposit. You pay that, and you're good to go. You'll be on the roster, and then we'll send out final invoices at the beginning of June. Lodging. So we are fortunate enough that we've got a deal set up with Seattle University, which is pretty close. I think it's about a 15-ish minute walk to Morningside, to use their dorms in the summer. The rates are available online. You can see how much they are. We haven't gotten the new rates for 2026, but last year's rates, if you're applying for a scholarship, and you get a scholarship, you'll be put in with a roommate, so you'll share a double room. If you're coming on your own and you're paying your own way, you can get a shared room. And those last year were $45 a night, which is incredibly cheap compared to a hotel in Seattle in the summer. You can get a single room at Seattle U for $65 a night. I think the average hotel room here in the summer is well over $300 a night. Like you're not going to find anything even remotely close. Like this is very much a summer tourist town, so prices get exponential really fast. So
Mhm.
the dorms are really, really nice option. And then Seattle U requires that you get this breakfast meal plan, which we've been doing it for the last 2 years, and people like that. They like having a breakfast available, and that works out to like 137 for 2 week people and $206 for 3 week participants. And you get breakfast out of that. And then it's a dorm. You can see online all the stuff you get in the dorm, what to bring, what not to bring. What else? Yeah, you can play online. I think that's most of the logistics. Did I miss anything, Drew?
No, I don't think so. I know some individuals have asked about whether it's more cost effective to do an Airbnb, but
Probably
that is
not.
actually way more
Yeah.
expensive than the tuition to go to Morningside. So the dorms are they are the best option, and it's kind of fun to like relive your college years a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who do Airbnb or some sort of short-term rental like that, especially if you're coming in, if you bring in a family with you, which people often will do, then you're not going to have your family at the dorms. They're not allowed. There's no kids allowed, but also you don't want to have a family in the dorms. So people have had some success with that, but it's not going to be more affordable. Again, especially in the summer, it's going to be very, very expensive. And there are a handful of hotels that are pretty close within walking distance to here. There's a bunch more downtown. Morningside's in the Capitol Hill neighborhood, so we are like a mile and a half, 2 miles from downtown Seattle. But the area is like hyper walkable. So around here, there are dozens upon dozens of restaurants, bars, kind of everything you need right here. So you don't really, so people often ask that, do I need a car? No, you definitely do not. Sometimes people will like rent a car for like the weekend or the weekends if you're staying for 3 weeks to take trips outside of the city, which I always recommend because Seattle is a gorgeous place and it's in an amazing part of the country. So I always encourage people to go out and go explore, go to the mountains, go to the beach, go. There's more here to do that you could do in a lifetime. So we like giving suggestions for kind of places to go. So but that's really the only need you would ever have for a car. Otherwise, everything's like I said, super walkable. And then just Seattle in general has really good public transit. So there's a light rail station in Capitol Hill that'll from there you can get to downtown or get down to where the stadiums are really quickly.
Like a dollar
I mean,
fifty. Like
yeah.
it's
So
very affordable.
if you have a car here, you won't use it and it'll cost a lot to park it. So you don't need to worry about that.
And the only other benefit I think about the Seattle U is that they have their own campus security. So, like, if
Mm.
you're doing anything at night or in the morning, like, you also have campus security presence, which always makes me feel a little bit better because, we do have a lot of people coming from different countries, different states where they may not know the area, and just having that extra layer of protection,
Yeah,
just
that's a
not
good
that
point.
Seattle's dangerous by any means, but I always am like, okay, they're protected. I can go to bed now. And I think that's generally the big overview of some logistics.
Yeah,
Typically, what we do is Andrew and I will banter for about 30 minutes, and then we just kind of let this kind of roll out as organically as possible by answering any questions that you all may have. Um, and yeah, going from there. So, unless there's anything else you have to say, Andrew.
no, I'm good. Anything that we didn't cover, anything you guys are curious about?
Yeah, let's hear. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions for us about the Institute?
Yeah, I just want to go over real quick one more time the requirements just so I've got it clear. The application needs to have any number of letters of rec, just make sure there is at least like one. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
get at least one. I think most
Okay.
applicants usually have two or three, but one you gotta have at least one.
Okay. And then the essay, and then I know you said for professionals you want a CV. For students, do you want like a resume?
CV or resume, either one's fine.
Okay.
So yeah, everyone's
Awesome.
got to submit a CV or resume, and then if you're applying for a
Okay.
graduate scholarship, you got to add the letter of recommendation and a essay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's
for
a good
sure.
first thought. And in your essay, the more you can tell us about what you want to do after you leave Morningside,
Right,
the better that'll help us place you in a classroom.
right,
So let's say that you want to work with young adults in juvenile settings, right? Well, that would be helpful to know so we don't put you in like a first grade
right.
class teaching
Yeah,
teaching foundational reading.
Yeah, yeah.
We want to work with individual within the juvenile justice system, right? So in that essay, that gives us an idea of well, what experiences would benefit
right.
you reaching those goals.
Yeah, I think population for sure, but also if you're like, I'm really just interested in, I've heard about direct instruction. I want to know about direct instruction. I don't really have a target population. I think DI sounds very cool. Then that's helpful for me because I'm like, cool, I've got a couple of classic, like excellent DI programs. You should go in that classroom and learn that. Or some people
Right.
will say like, oh, I don't, I'm really interested in college teaching. Like I'm planning on staying in academia and I want to see how I could apply this. Well, then I've got like those kind of folks will often get put into our content course where people are learning study skills.
Yep.
Because that instructional style and what you learn there is much more applicable to what you do in a college classroom. So kind of like who are the maybe what's the population we want to work with, but like what are the technologies? So many people know Morningside as like the precision teaching school. So if you got caught onto us because of precision teaching, then say that. Be like, I keep hearing about PT. People show me this blue chart. I've learned a little bit about it, but like I want to get good at it. Then like, great, we'll put you in a math class probably where you will be
Yeah.
charting until your hand falls off. So that's what we want to know is what are you really interested in? What are you really trying to get out of this? Because honestly, even in 3 weeks, we're scratching the surface of all the different things that happen at Morningside. We try to get as deep as we can into as many areas as possible, but it's never like comprehensive. You don't walk out for 3 weeks knowing it all. So we really want to make sure that if there are specific things that you're interested in, that we can do as much as we possibly can in that time to make sure you leave with the skill set that you came here looking for.
Yeah.
That's such a relief to hear because I'm interested in like academia if that's like possible. And so it's good to know that that's kind of like something you guys offer. So
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a good portion of people come every year who are behavior analysts, or even people who are in ed degrees who are like, I'm not really trying to work with a applied clientele. Like I'm really interested in learning the science and I'm interested in teaching students, college students down the road. That's cool.
Yeah. We even had administrators that are like, I don't want to teach. I need to see
Yeah,
how this works so I can go into my school and sell this. So
for
we
sure.
set up an arrangement where it's like every 2 days you're touring a new classroom, not teaching, but getting an idea of what this content looks like across grade levels.
But I
Great.
will say, if you're in a classroom, you're going to teach at some point. So a lot of people are, oh, I'm a faculty member, or I'm a school superintendent. I don't need to do this. I'm like, oh no, you're doing it. If you're going to come here, you're going to learn these things, and you are going to practice them, and it's going to be fun.
Coaching people that have reviewed my academic papers and rejected them is kind of a point of pride for me. I'm like, oh, your signal's off, just like my manuscript was rejected. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think part of that is like there's a balance here about learning about behavioral ed, which is what we're interested
Yeah.
in teaching you, but also like we're not like we are we are scientist practitioners. So we want to teach about things, but really more importantly, we want people to learn how to do these things on their own. So Morningside is not a place where people come just to kind of talk all about all the things we could do or what people are doing. It's like you will learn about that, but also in order to learn how to do these things. So that's a pretty important expectation is you should come here expecting to be in front of a group of kids at some point. And it may be awkward if that's not your experience, your history, and that's cool. We know that.
Yeah.
But we want everyone to get their feet wet, get their hands dirty, pick your metaphor for like getting in the weeds and doing some of the work with kids.
Yeah. Good question, Sean. What else y'all have for us?
So I have a question. As far as, so I would be, if I were to come, I would be attending as a recently graduated student who hasn't really dipped their toes into professional practice much. I work as an RBT, but I'm not necessarily trying to stay in applied behavior analysis. So, following the completion of the Summer Institute, are there any sort of, I guess, like networking opportunities with other job opportunities, career opportunities within direct instruction and precision teaching that you guys talk about or offer anything like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you look very eager to answer. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think coming back to one of Drew's earlier points, like I think that's one of the values here is you will just on your own meet a ton of people here, and so those connections are super super important. Um, like beyond that, like sometimes there's job opportunities at Morningside. It just depends on the year. We've had teachers who have come out here without any anticipation of anything, and then they never left. They got hired at the end.
That's what I was laughing about. I was like,
Either
sometimes
Daniel.
you just never leave.
Sometimes people just stay, which is fantastic. Sometimes there's nothing here, but people there, like people at Summer Institute are like, oh, I'm looking for people because I'm running this clinic. Or we had someone this year who immediately after Summer Institute left her job to start up her own clinic, or to start up her own consulting agency. Like, I'm starting my own thing. But in general, like as in the time between now and then, and if you're with us this summer and you're like, oh, here's the thing that I'm finding myself more and more interested in, then we certainly would try to put you in contact with or kind of coordinate with people who are working in those areas. The precision teaching world is not huge. So if you're in that world, for example, we can connect you with just about anybody.
Yeah, and behavior ed in general too.
Yeah.
Like it's bigger, but you kind of see the same key players
Mhm.
over and over again. Yeah, I think I would just echo what Andrew says. I was just chuckling because it's like sometimes people go to Seattle and then they love it, and then they're opening and they were a good teacher, and then they work there.
Yeah.
But then also like kind of the professional side that when they're not student scholarship applicants or attendees, oftentimes they are business owners or are supervising. So they'll post like, "Hey, if anyone wants to come work for me," or we're expanding the school-based side of
Yeah.
our organization and we're looking for people. That's been a nice way to see people stay in touch by being employed and working with one another
Yeah.
as well. The networking is like the biggest benefit from this. I swear to goodness. Like it's just I still talk to people every like from each year of
Yeah.
MSI,
Yeah. Yeah.
my own year. That was a good question, Jess. Other questions we all have.
As far as opportunities that come from like the summer program go, um, so you guys hire a lot of like teachers who like do the instruction. Do you guys do a lot of research on what you're doing to like publish or just to expand it? And I mean, are there jobs related to more of the research side of that?
Good question. So we're research wise, we're doing pretty muddy, like on the ground research on purpose. So we're not trying to do controlled applied research. We see ourselves as kind of this third tier service organization where we want to like we're looking at what scientific research says. We're conducting we're conducting informal research on like how effective these whatever we like whatever if we see research on procedures or curriculum that look good in an applied study, then we'll try it out here in a messy classroom with real people, with kids who are absent and sick and loud and all the hits of a classroom. And then we take those things on the road to people. So we're not conducting, we publish a fair amount of stuff, but it's not highly controlled, and that's not our goal. So actually, one of the functions of the Summer Institute is to help, I guess, inspire and support people who are on the applied side of the spectrum with their research agendas. So we wrote a new edition of our general instruction book in 2021. And when we revised the last chapter, the original book was written in 2004. So it had been, what, 16 years, 17 years since the original edition. In the last chapter in both are like, what are some research questions that people should be investigating? And when we went to write the new edition, I think 80% of the questions from the 2004 book still hadn't been answered. And then we added another, I don't know, 10 pages of questions. So that's really what we want to do is be like, look, here's some questions that we have. Like, here's things that we see in our lab classrooms that we think are important, or we think there's something there. And we know this intuitively because we've got years and years of data to support it. But our stuff's big data. Like it's where a classroom outcomes over the course of a year is a function of all the different curricula, all the different procedures, multiple interventions. It's group data. We're not looking at individual student data as much. So if people are interested in like, well, what are those components that are getting you the biggest bang for your buck? Then we are like, go figure that out. We'd love to work with you. So a lot of times we'll have teachers who come in Morningside, teach for a few years, and then they go back into academia. One of our student teachers from last year, he's went back to grad school to answer those kind of questions. So that's one of the reasons why we stay connected, I think, to the academia world so much is that we're interested in research. We're just not trying to do it daily. We're trying to run a school and go partner with school districts all over the place. So we're trying to have our foot in both worlds, which is cool.
Yeah.
So you guys are really concerned with like a proof concept, really, not so much like expanding conceptual understanding. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And what's nice is that oftentimes students, or not oftentimes, I hate saying like it's this sweeping generalization, but there are times when students will come out to kind of learn what they want to do for research. So they know it's in behavioral ed, but they haven't really found something. So they come out, they get some experience, and then like we've served on dissertation committees and things like that,
Mhm.
or have helped develop some of these research protocols. Like for example, like I'm in the world of academia in my full-time job, so like I'm doing research all the time. When I go to Morningside, I'm like, oh, thank God I don't have to do research. I'm taking what's being done and disseminating it.
Right.
And then we write up papers, kind of what Andrew was saying of like, here are the big macro outcomes. Yes, we're taking day-to-day data on the standard acceleration chart, but we're not doing a multiple baseline. Like the kids aren't paying us to catch up. Like we're not
That's
going to
right.
hold them in
Yeah.
baseline for 3 weeks and be like, oh, still can't read, right? And the kid's like,
Yeah.
no, I can't.
Yeah, we can't say like, oh, we like this DI curriculum. We're just going to run that and nothing else for the next 3 months. Like, nope, we've got too many things that we know work. So we're throwing everything we know that works at given problems. Because to Drew's point, I mean, there's the whole laboratory school aspect, there's the whole dissemination aspect of Morningside, and then there's the whole other side of like it's still a school for children who are struggling in the Seattle area, and parents pay tuition, and we have this whole money back guarantee here where kids get their tuition refunded if they don't make 2 years growth in a school year, and even in the summer they are guaranteed half a month's growth in 4 weeks with their money back. So people are
Half a
it's a
year's growth. Half a
what did I
year's growth.
say? What
Half a
did I
month.
say? Oh yeah,
Half a month.
that's nothing.
I
Half
was
a
like
year's.
that. No, I was like, that's bad. No, half a year,
Half a year's
not half
growth
a
in
month
four
for 4
weeks.
weeks.
So that's a big deal, right? People like this is a for families. This is a big. It's an investment. It is a time commitment. Like they are struggling. Their kids have been struggling. They are looking for answers, and like that's our primary job. The fun thing is we get to solve all those problems with evidence and research base. So we that's why we get to do a little bit of both. But so there's always these times where my research angle kicks in. I'm like, oh, I wish we could investigate this in this way, but then there's 90 kids walking around here who need to actually have their needs met day to day. So
Yeah.
it's this fun juggling act we get to do.
And there are opportunities too that like you might come up with a research question in conjunction with Morningside staff,
Yeah.
or we cook something up with your advisor where you come out and actually run a study at Morningside
Yeah.
with a certain pod. Like we've done that as well. It just kind of really depends on your interest and what the appropriate context for doing that is really.
Right.
What else y'all have for us?
Okay. I think that silence is awkward enough. I think we're there.
I do have another one. I just didn't
Oh,
want to
you got it. All right, cool. What do you got?
hog. So I guess you guys aren't too interested in like college age students than like undergraduates and their education needs so much.
I wouldn't, it's not that that's not what we're interested in because we've worked at the Morningside model has gone to other universities to do
Yeah.
some supplemental instruction to catch them up. So you'll read, or if you've read in the Purple Book, it talks about the Malcolm X College in Chicago and some of the work that was done there. But the same methods that we do at Morningside have been successfully applied to other remedial programs
Yeah.
in undergraduate universities and graduate universities. So at Jacksonville State University, there was a big precision teaching hub where they admitted students from the state of Alabama, and those kids or those learners came in behind academically. So they did a lot of like remedial work at the college level so they can access things like statistics courses,
Right.
work on reading skills to better access textbooks and things like that. So I use it in my undergraduate classes and in my graduate classes, aspects of this model as well. It's just highly applicable. Of It's a model of how do you program for learning outcomes,
Right.
and you figure out, well, what are the learning outcomes I want to program for? Morningside, right? The school functions on these academic areas for school age children, but the model itself is a framework for developing successful instructional programs for learners of all kinds.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad you asked that question because when you're coming to Summer Institute, it is not to learn how to teach tier two struggling special ed kids. Like the goal is to learn the Morningside model of general instruction, and that is a generalized learning model, right? So our particular interest at Morningside is that population of students. But to Drew's point, this is a learning model that you can and people do use everywhere, and we encourage that. So I don't know of the 30 odd people who come most summers. I don't maybe half are interested in the same population that we are. Probably less than half actually like are like, oh, I want to work with struggling ADHD kids. The majority are going to work with a different population. And many of those people are working with college students. I did research in teaching college students when I was at North Texas using Morningside model of general instruction stuff, using precision teaching, using think aloud problem solving. So like to Drew's point, there's a lot of research on that. we do work with, we've like worked formally with universities before in designing coursework. We work at the high school right now, teaching those teachers how to work with those students. So even when you're here, the examples that you're, especially like in the training sessions, the examples that'll be offered are not going to be all tier two, elementary and middle school kids. There are people who will be at the Summer Institute as trainers and coaches whose specialty is working with kids with autism or other developmental disabilities. There are people there who are working with more general ed students. So that's an important frame to kind of go into this is like if you're coming here, you want to learn about best practices in teaching and learning so that you can apply them to whichever population of folks you're interested in working with. And like I said, most of us, someone here pretty much has experience with just about any population in terms of who else you can apply it to. So there'll be certain people who will gravitate to work with somebody else on how do I do this with college students? I know Drew and I have done a lot of that work.
Yeah.
Ken did a lot of that work too. Most of Ken's published stuff prior to Morningside is personalized system of instruction research, working with graduate students. So yeah,
Awesome. That's really good to know. I'm very interested in working with like improving like undergrad performance and that kind of.
cool, very
Uh,
cool.
that's yep, love it. All right. Any other questions, Aaron? I would love for you to apply as well. I love that you're an enthusiast and a hobbyist user, but we'll get you being a full-time charter.
Right.
That's the goal.
Okay, I just have one last question. As you had mentioned that things kind of change from one year to the next with the Summer Institute, do you guys ever have like repeat attenders? Do you feel like there's any value in
Yes.
attending? Maybe. Okay, all right.
Yeah, yes to
That's
both
the full
questions.
answer.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
all the time.
we do
Like
have repeat attendees. We encourage as many people as possible to come back. I mean, I understand it's challenging often to be able to free your time up. We had someone who was back last summer. She had been what, 9 years, I think, in between. I came twice before I started coming in um, to work at the Summer Institute when I did Drew's job before he did. Um, yeah, it seems like every few years there's someone coming back a second time. I highly encourage that. I mean, even if we were to repeat the exact same content every year, which we don't, coming back twice would be worth it because there is a lot. Like it's intense. There's a lot. There's a lot that you're going to be taught. Often just coming back a second time, getting to hear it and practice things twice goes a really, really long way with new people, new contexts. But to Drew's point, it does change every year, and so I think it's. I wish more people would come back twice. I mean,
yeah.
great.
Like if I didn't do this every year, I wouldn't be able to consult the same way that I'm consulting now in the schools,
Yeah.
just based on curricula changes in general, to be honest with you. Like a lot of the precision teaching big overview remains pretty constant, but like even the materials that we use in our fluency blocks changes. So yeah, Jess, that's a good question. And we've had people that'll go for their sabbatical as a professor and then come back again. Like it's
Yeah.
just yeah. Well, I think, and then Angie came twice, and then she got a whole
Andy came
contract
twice.
in Wyoming, and
Yep.
it was amazing. She was like, "No, we need this for our school." So, yeah, it like even the structure changes from when I was there less than 10 years ago, I don't know, to now. Like even the structure of what is covered, emphasis on certain things, and we just kind of continuously do perform or evaluative feedback of like, okay, what worked, what didn't work, okay, how do we improve upon this? What are some deficits we saw that the students were exiting with? How can we make sure that in the future that we're making sure that we're covering those to really hit home? So yeah, it's I would love for more people to come back too. Even within my tenure of being here since 2016, I've had repeat attendees. And I'm like, oh, hey, surprise. Like I'm covering this now. Like it was this last year, someone I went to MSI with
Oh
came
yeah.
to MSI and I was like, surprise, I run this with the folks here. But yeah, come back as many times as you want. Even come back during the school year too. Oftentimes when people are like, I want to see what the academic school year looks like, they contact Andrew.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. Every time I'm there, I'm like, someone from Iceland's just at the school. Like they're like, we want to see it, and there's just an Icelandic person there. Because we work in Iceland, not
Yeah.
just
I
there's
was
just
gonna
these
say, is
random
that the school in
Icelanders.
Reykjavik?
Yeah, yeah. Just like some random person from Iceland stumbles in. We're like, we love Iceland. Come on in. Cool. Uh, Speak now or forever hold your peace, y'all. Any additional questions?
All right, cool. Thank you all for coming and joining us. And you really can keep asking questions. You don't have to hold your whatever.
Yeah.
If you do have more questions, shoot me an email. I'm just Andrew at morningsideacademy.org. Um, but yeah, we'd love to have you all. It's a great time. I don't know. It was formative for me. It's been formative for Drew. I think anyone who comes through the Summer Institute will generally have really good things to say about their experience. So I hope you'll join us. And Seattle's a perfect place to be in July. So
It is.
Thank you so much. That
cool.
was
Yeah.
really informative.
All right,
Yeah,
good.
of course. So
Thanks, y'all.
yeah, of course, Sean. So Sinead, who are you associated with
We
all the
we've met before actually. I'm one of Dr. Empuero's
yeah.
students.
Okay, so
Yes.
you're Miguel's student.
And
Cool.
Rekos too to an extent, but Miguel and I did most of my work with him. But yeah, I'm at Simmons now in um I know what state I live in, Massachusetts in Boston.
Nice. Okay, so you work with
Yeah,
Tom Rackos and Miguel and
yeah.
Sinead
I'm sorry.
Galway
Aoife
Hey,
McTiernan.
Rifa.
and Aoife, of course.
Yeah, and Shauna Diffley's my best friend.
Shauna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Girl, why don't you just ask Shauna? She knows the tea.
I know.
She knows
She
everything.
knows everything.
I slapped that girl in the face with a
Oh, well,
tortilla.
Dr. Diffley now, actually.
Oh, is
That's
she?
right.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
yeah. Her Viva was maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
So, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Nice. Oh, I
Hmm.
love that. So Sean's with Miguel, Jess is with me, Sinead is with Aoife, and Aaron, where are you? Where are you hailing from? I feel like I know your name, and I feel like it's Florida, but I could be wrong.
You're right. You're right.
Wow.
Florida it is. I don't imagine that's a lucky guess. I know your name too. I feel like we have some common colleagues.
Yes. I was like, my gut is telling me, but you're like, actually, no, Mississippi. And I'm like, "Oh, okay.
Well,
Well,
I'm not a native Floridian, so I don't know if that counts, but I've been here long enough.
no, I love that. Well, yeah, like Andrew said, I put Andrew's email in the chat function for y'all as well. He is the point person to contact
Yeah,
about all this stuff. So,
cool.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, everybody.
thank you all so
Thank
Thank
much.
you
you.
so
Have a good
Yeah,
night.
see
much.
you this summer.
Have a nice evening.
All right.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, you want to stop the recording?
Oh yeah, I should do that.
Yeah.